Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here from Wise, Witty and Weird. Another chance to have a conversation with you about something that may not be all that wise, certainly won't be witty, but usually is pretty weird. Now, I want to have a chat to you about American politics, only because I'm fascinated by the ineptitude of a group of people, some 135 million of them in fact, who have got politicians in power who probably shouldn't be there. And I'm not talking about Joe Biden in this instance because I actually like Joe. I like anybody who's about my same age group, makes me wonder why I didn't like Trump. But nevertheless, I think Joe's doing a reasonable job. But what I don't understand is their political system. They're happy and thrilled that they are a republic, when in actual fact, I think they want to be an autocracy. Now, the problem that we have in the US is that they are people who run rampant about a constitution that they have that they think was delivered by a group of holy men, such as men that would be sitting around the table at the Last Supper. These are men who are spiritually endowed, clearly, even though many of them were slave owners. And they are men who simply had the gift to be able to develop a document that will sort of test time in reality, and that it will be as valid today as it was when it was written in the 1700s. Now, I think that basically Americans, now this is generalisation, I know it's not all Americans, but to a large extent, at least 35 to 40% of them are pretty crazy. And it's those 35 to 40% who really influence what happens in American politics to a large extent. Now, they have people like Margaret Taylor Greene. Now, firstly, her name's long and it's kind of weird. But then, so is AOC, who I think is absolutely adorable. But Margaret Taylor Greene is a strange woman because she subscribes to a whole host of beliefs that were from QAnon. And we all know that QAnon is simply a group of crazy people who work on conspiracy theories based on no information, no evidence, but simply on what some bloke says in a dark room hidden in his cellar. So they are the sort of people that we need to worry about because the information that they're receiving about their country and the thoughts that they need to be occupying between their ears are not really substantial. They're not based on anything. They're just random suggestions that some person makes and that the rest of the population, or a percentage of the population anyway, take on board and start to believe them. And I can't comprehend how a nation as well developed as the United States is, with all of their achievements, particularly their achievements around war. I mean, I've got to admit that there's probably no other country that seems to enter as many wars as the United States does. And I guess that means that they're a country that have to develop technical skills, software, hardware, other things to be able to effectively contribute to their war efforts around the world. Now, that in itself might have made them great. I don't know. But they are warmongers and we need to accept that fact. But at the end of the day, they are also a group of people, human beings, a lot like us. Not quite like us, but a lot like us. Rational. Well, maybe not rational. Irrational. But that's not like us. So anyway, they are the same but different than what we are. They are a group of people who simply have lost their way at this particular point. And it's somehow I think we need to pay attention to their lostness. The fact that they don't know where they're going, they don't know where they've been, and they certainly don't know how to get there. So they're lost in the wilderness and they need guidance from rational, sensible Australians because we have a greater sense of what it's like to be sunbaking on a beach and to not to wear masks and to not give a damn about a virus. That's really who we are. We just don't care. And in the United States, though, they seem to care about all the wrong things. They're manifestly obsessed with stuff that doesn't mean anything, that stuff which is completely irrelevant to the rest of us. I was trying to think of an example just then, but I can't. But I'm sure they're there. And I'm sure I'll think of one before I finish. So they are obsessed with, got it. Just remembered what it is. They're obsessed with their greatness. They are. They think that they're the greatest people on the face of this earth, that they've accomplished so many things, as bigger warmongers as they are, and that they have the key and the solutions to all their problems. Yet, this same great nation came up with Donald Trump, which is probably an indicator of how delusional they are when you elect a delusional person as your president. So maybe they're not as great as what they think they are. Maybe they are delusional, and maybe to a large extent they're kind of insane. So they have got rid of that part of their delusion, but he still lingers in the background. He still seems to have some influence over who they are and the way they think. And then he has this collection of people that seem to support his delusions. You know, it's one thing to be paranoid. It's another thing to have your paranoia come out and play with you and to be a part of your experience. So there's a fair percentage of the United States that are living through this paranoid belief, which is associated with some very strange other beliefs from QAnon. So I guess the question really is, how should we respond to them? Well, the way I normally respond to really crazy people is to probably ignore them. And those people that I meet in the street who talk to themselves, who think that they're Jesus Christ or Mary Magdalene, I often ignore them, even when they ask me for money. I think, well, you know, if you're asking me for money and you're Jesus Christ, then I think you should find a way of getting that yourself. I don't know whether that is what that is about, but maybe you need to knock on a rock and see whether you can produce some wine. It's quite simple, really. So they are strange and bewildering people, those people in the US. Even though there's a part of me that feels sorry for them. That, you know, it's like a child that is lost. And it's just seeking to be loved and to be nurtured and cared for. And somehow, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to nurture them and cuddle them because they don't deserve it. They've been abusing the world for years. They've added to the climate problem that we have in the world today. They're arrogant, they're self-centered, they're narcissistic. Now, I don't mean that. I know there'll be thousands of people watching this video who'll think I'm referring to them. But if you don't see yourself in that category, then I'm not referring to you. It's quite simple. However, if you know of other people that you know who do fit into that category, I'm referring to them, not to you. So don't get offended at me because I'm having a go at people who live in the United States. They're a diverse nation. Very diverse nation. Not as diverse as Australia, but they're still diverse. I understand that. Not all of them are crazy, just a lot of them. Or at least 1/3. So, for you people in America, I want you to understand that we're trying to love you, but it's hard. Really hard. Because a lot of you, at least 1/3 of you, aren't very lovable. You're doing some stupid things. And you need to change. Because the rest of the world, for some bizarre reason, depends upon you. I don't know what it is we depend upon you for, but we do. Well, we might depend upon your military arms to be able to protect certain parts of the country. And in Australia, we expect you to be able to come and sit up in Northern Territory in Darwin and spend your money. Your servicemen spend your money up there because they need it. And so we enjoy having your company. You're great people when you come over here. And, you know, you treat us pretty well, I do admit, when we've gone up there. But you need to do something about your politics because it stinks. And because at the end of the day, if you don't, it will influence the rest of us. Even though we don't want to be reliant upon you, you will influence all of us. So, my solution is get rid of Donald Trump. Sure that when you're discussing politics, you're actually discussing politics. You're not talking about something that happened at the beginning of November last year and that you're declaring that it's all fake. You know, focus on the reality. The reality is COVID-19. The reality is the amount of homelessness and poverty and racism and all the other terrible stuff that is yours. We have bits of it, I agree, but nothing like what you've got it, right? And we don't have politicians who are blatant. Well, we might have a few, but generally we don't have politicians that are blatantly racist. We don't try and change our voting system so that we can exclude all those people that we don't want to vote. We did that up until 1966. We've since changed that, sort of. We're working on it, but at least we're not like you are. So, we're better than you? No, probably not, but we are a little bit more stable. We don't have COVID-19 in this country. You can't say that. We're a wee bit behind, I admit, on trying to get the vaccinations done. We're a little bit slow. We do have ScoMo, which is slow-mo. We do have slow-mo working for us, so no wonder we haven't got it done. But we're getting there. But we're not too worried about it because we just don't have the virus here. Not many countries can say that. We're pretty proud of the fact that we can. The only reason why we can say that is, in case you haven't looked, I'm just talking to you people in the United States. We are in the southern hemisphere. You can find us on a map. We're a relatively big country. Remember that it's Australia. We've got this little island down the bottom called Tasmania. There's another couple of islands to the right of that map. They're called New Zealand. Kind of a part of us, but they do choose to have their own government. Another story for another time. But we're doing the best that we can. We're an island. No one gets in. We've been doing that no one gets in for years, long before COVID-19. Because we think we're exclusive and a little bit important, and if people are trying to come to our country, the great country, because they want their freedom, stiff bickies, go and sit on another island somewhere and wilter away for years because we won't let you in, because that's the sort of people that we are. We're sounding more like you, though, the more I think about it. So, maybe we're not much better, but we're trying to be. You know, we're still a pretty good country. A lot of ways we do the right thing. And we do look after our fellow blokes and Sheilas and others. So, welcome. If you want to come here, don't bring the virus. Leave your politics back home. We don't want that here. We have enough of our own shit to deal with. But we do want you, we want you to get better. We want you to heal yourselves. You know, you're human beings just like the rest of us, I think. But we want you to get better, so please do. So thanks everybody for being with me on Wise, Witty and Weird. Great that you could be here. Remember to subscribe and ring the bell for some more fabulous presentations, conversations. I don't know, whatever it is that I do. Thanks everybody. See you later.